Hello, all again. For those who just joined the program, my name is Ariana Sloat, and I'm a program manager and the focal point for gender at INEE. And I would like to welcome you all and thank you for taking the time to participate in today's webinar. This webinar was developed in response to interest from education cluster coordinators and in support of broader efforts to promote gender-responsive programming in education and crisis contexts. We're thrilled to have three experts with us today, education cluster coordinators Jumma and Tracy Sprott, and Ruth Naylor, who's with Plan UK, to share some of their work with us and to help lead our discussion. Some more to a rich discussion and ideas and challenges and good practices around this important global issue. For those who joined late, I ask that you keep your microphone muted by your name to cut down on the background noise throughout the presentations. I'm lucky to have Ruth Naylor as our facilitator today. Ruth is an education advisor at Plan UK. Her work focuses on helping adolescent girls access quality education as part of their global campaign, Because I'm a Girl. Plan is increasingly focused on gender and education within their disaster management work, as well as within their development work. Ruth's work in education has taken her to Afghanistan, Angola, Nepal, Tanzania. The list is so long, I'll end there. Her interests professionally are girls' education and teaching and learning in conflict-affected countries. So, Ruth, we're so grateful to have you here. And at this point, I'll pass the presenter ball to Jumma to show his presentation and over to you to introduce our first presenter.
Thanks, Ariana. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this presentation. Hopefully we'll get Tracy online afterwards, but her presentation's up. I'll introduce Jumma Khan, who's very kindly offered to share his experiences. He has over 10 years of experience of managing education, child protection, youth engagement programs for IDPs, refugees, and local communities. So he's worked with NGOs and the UN agencies, with UNHCR, IRC, USAID. He's worked in Pakistan, South Sudan, and currently working in Somalia, and he's the cluster coordinator there, education cluster coordinator, under the co-leadership of UNICEF and Save Children. So I'll hand over to Jumma.
Thank you, Ruth. Can I start?
Go ahead, Jumma.
I'll start from a brief introduction of the education cluster. Trying to go on my presentation. This slide, the first slide, goes through introduction of the cluster. There are 40 education cluster partners. There are NGOs, national NGOs, international NGOs, and UN agencies, and there are zonal, regional ministries of education. Currently, the national cluster is based in Nairobi, and then there are 8 field subclusters and education and emergencies working group, covering separate geographical areas and responsible for the field-based coordination, preparedness, information sharing, and verification of data and information at the field level. Education cluster partners, they are supporting 570,000 children. 42% are girls enrolled in some 2,800 learning spaces across Somalia. And I'm proud to say that even in the worst humanitarian crisis, in famine crisis in August, September, we successfully managed to keep 40% enrollment of girls across all regions. Then there are approximately 9,000 teachers, 25% female teachers. They are supported by the education cluster partners. This is a map of Somalia, just for your understanding. It's 11 the upper part called, which is north, it is called Somaliland, and then there is a region of Puntland, and then in the south, which is bordering with Kenya and Ethiopia and Indian Ocean, that is called South Central or South Central Zone, which is the most affected region, which is affected by the drought, by the famine, and also sometimes by floods and also conflict in that area. So it's this area is not accessible for the humanitarian work. There are national NGOs and international NGOs with national staffing here and there. These are the main strategies and also practices currently implemented by education cluster partners. The first is the gender marker, which is it is a tool which helps us to evaluate the humanitarian project. All the projects, they go through the evaluation of gender marker to see that these CAP projects are designed to ensure women, men, boys, and girls have equal access to the humanitarian services across all clusters. It's not only for education, across all clusters. If there is a project with the 0 score, it is not recommended for the next level of approval. It's mainly the chance to organization to improve the project strategy, objectives, and outcomes and indicators to ensure that the gender is there and the needs of women, girls, boys, men, they are addressed in the project. And then reporting, that's the critical part here. All many tools of our partners and also the reporting, we collect information on a gender desegregated from the gender perspective, and we share this information with OCHA, and we report these information on CITRIP and also on reports, monthly reports, media reports, and annual reports. So according to OCHA, education cluster is the best in desegregating the gender data information. And then building, our partners are very sensitive whenever there are plans, training plans. They include female teachers, and they give participation to all genders. Even in the community education committees, they try to include at least 50% participants in the training programs. And education committees, they are very critical for the education program here. As I mentioned, in South, there is no Ministry of Education there. There is no authority there to look after the education. So these are the school management committee who take care about the schools and the management and attendance, enrollment, community motivation. So in that committees, 25 to 50% women they are participating in the decision making at that level. So I'm saying 25 to 50 because in South we have little participation from the female, but in North we have more females there. There are more women there. They are taking part in the community education committees. This was our successful project in North, distribution of sanitary kits. It was in IDP camps. There were 2-3 NGOs, international partners. They were doing this kind of activity. They were supporting. They were providing the sanitary kits to the students, especially upper primary girls, older girls, and at the same time, they engaged they engaged their mothers and also the girls to take part in the stitching of these sanitary napkins, which is a livelihood activity, and it was also generation activity for the elder girls and also for their mothers. And co-education, if you hear Somalia, it is very difficult to understand that how co-education is existing there. There are mixed schools always, there are mixed classes. Yeah, there are different rows for the boys and girls, but they are the mixed classrooms across all 3 zones, except in few areas that will come under the challenges. I will explain why. And since for girls, through school feeding program, WFP is the big part of school feeding program. In that especially, they have huge school feeding program. The main, condition for the school feeding program is that, the precondition that communities and also Ministry of Education should ensure that, there are 40 to 50% girls attending these schools or enrolled in these schools. The vouchers, there are partners who are providing vouchers for the girls' education. They provide vouchers to those girls that they can buy uniform, they can buy some school supplies, and also they can buy some hygiene kits for their personal use, for their hygienic use. And there are some areas, our partners, they instructed the school, advised the school's school management committee to waive off the fee of poor students, poor girl students. In some areas, there are flexible scores to ensure that, especially in the pastoralist communities, that ensure boys, especially in the pastoralist community, and girls, due to the task, are able to enroll in these schools. So there are system there, to a double shift system there. So sometimes, it depends on area, it depends on the schools, it depends on the community. Sometimes boys are flexible to come in the morning, and then girls in the evening, in the afternoon classes, and sometimes girls go in the morning classes and boys attend the afternoon class. Literacy, offering adult literacy classes after the school hours. There are a lot of interest from the mothers who attend these classes in areas, and then this is also a learning that educated mothers are more likely to send their children to the schools. Especially the recreational supplies, most of our senior partners, experienced partners, they always procure the recreational material with the consultation of the community, because sometimes there are supplies there, recreational stuff is there, but it's hard for the boys, it is hard for the girls to use these recreational supplies. So these supplies are, the list is shared and consulted with the community, then after that they go for the procurement of these supplies. Sensitive latrines, in many parts we have constructed separate latrines for boys and girls, but they are not enough. I'll go in the challenges and I will explain why. Still a huge gender gap in our teaching force. It's mainly because of lack of qualified males. Which is a work part which is affected. There's no international staff is allowed to go there. There is a limited access. There you can see only 10% teachers are female in South. And then there are cultural restrictions on female enrollment. If their family, it's because of limited resources, because of limited finances. When they have resources, they just send, they prefer to send their boys to attend these schools. Just give preference to the boys in these communities. In South, especially because South is controlled by the militant groups, and then there are military groups there. So in some areas, they segregated the classes on gender basis, and sometimes schools. So they separated both boys and girls in different schools. So hard for us because there are limited resources. So we just, in the morning they are managing, in some areas they are managing the boy shift, and in the afternoon they are just managing the girl shift. The recruitment is a big issue here in Somalia. Many of these boys, they are recruited in militias, local militias, jihad groups, and also they are recruited for the piracy business. And that gender separate teams, it's a big issue in Somalia, and it's because there are no facilities in some areas, there is no infrastructure in some areas, and also there is no water connectivity to those separate latrines. So it's they are not clean, they are not well maintained. So this is also a reason of the dropout, because they drop out if there are no separate wash facilities, that there are no clean wash facilities inside the school. I'll hand to Ruth for any question and answer. Ruth, hear me?
Yes. Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, is Tracy with us? Jumma, for that. Yeah, perhaps if we get some specific questions on that one, and then we'll have another check-in 10 minutes to see if Tracy has managed to join us. Tracy, do kick in, do shout as soon as you're able to join us. But we'll start the discussion from that interesting present, a really challenging situation, and very useful to know about the differences in the north and the south of the country. How we go to this discussion is if you put up your hand, then I'll take questions at once, and that can go to Jumma, or if others want to chip in. So I'll take 3 names and I'll write them in the chat section, and see we're going to we can chip in that order. We'll do 3 questions, and then we'll have a discussion, and then we'll 3. So if you've got questions, would you like to put up your hand? You can see the raise hand button. I've got Alison. Just scroll down. Alison. I've got Cara, and I've got Samira. Apologies if I haven't pronounced that right. So we're going to have Alison and so if you want to kick off first, Alison. Can you hear us? To unmute your microphone, I forgot just now.
This is Michelle. I know that Samira is also having problems with her microphone, so perhaps if they type their question in the chat.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you could type your questions. Alison is here, but is on an unmuted microphone, but it's not working, I'm afraid, Alison. So could you type your question? I'll read out Cara's question. Just to say, Tracy is with us, but we can't hear her. I'll take these few questions, and what we'll do is we'll let Tracy. We'll read her presentation, but it's a good shame we won't be able to hear her. But I'll just take these questions from Cara, from the people I've named. So. Cara is asking, is saying, in Afghanistan, we are facing the same challenge with the shortage of female teachers in the rural and non-secure areas. What kinds of policies or programs have been put in place to improve the recruitment of female teachers in these areas? Jumma, have you given anything on female teachers?
I haven't asked my partner specifically on this, but as per my experience, because I'm here in Somalia working since last 2 years, it's not a rigid society. I know Afghan culture. I've been in Afghanistan. So if I compare both societies, it's a difference. This is Africa and that is Asia. So here. The tribal community and also these different clan systems, they are flexible in supporting women, and also women they they attend the schools, primary schools, upper primary schools, and then they attend also the high education, their middle education and high education. So we have more educated here from Afghanistan. And religious factor in Afghanistan is very hard. And this is the first time, like there is a group called Shabab, the same mentality and same approach like Taliban, but they're still, they're still people with some movement of teachers and the recruitment of female teachers. This is, I think, the main reason. And then also, partners, big partner, UNICEF is the big partner in education and emergency. So 80% programming, you can say, is UNICEF. And SAVE is there, NRC is there, and some national partners are there, Islamic Relief is there. So they always give priority. Even girl is, just upper primary, graduate, upper primary, she has just passed, and then, they gave her a chance to complete the secondary education, also to be a chair in the primary at the primary level school. It's, I think, from my experiences, it's more society that they have less concern about girls' education. They have less concerns about the women teachers.
Thank you, Jumma. That approach, I can feed in my. We've had experience in Pakistan where one small thing to get female teachers back is about walls around the school, and if there wasn't a wall, then male teachers were very reluctant to turn. So after the flood damage, that actually had to be one of the priorities, was rebuilding school walls. And in South Sudan, there's been, I know, has been this problem that I think is similar to Afghanistan, where there simply aren't enough women with education, with even complete primary education, to become teachers. And like Jumma says, it's a matter of, there's sometimes putting in extra courses in place to help women get up to the academic level where they can actually start applying to be teachers. I'll do Cara's question next. Sorry, I'll move on to Alison's question next. Alison says, "Thank you, Jumma, for a very good presentation. I was interested in the gender marker that you described. What form does it take? Is it possible for us to see an example?"
Different points, scores, like 0 stands for if there is nothing in the strategy. If the project proposal is completely empty, it's a blind, gender blind. We don't have gender in the project analysis and the background information. If there is no gender in the objectives, if there is no gender in the outcomes and indicators, then we call it a gender blind proposal, and we just give it 0 score. So that is almost excluded from the selection process. If the project is if they have some information in the background, some little information, gender analysis, and they include it in the objectives. Maybe there are 3 objectives. One objective they have included something about gender, and then that of which they were providing outcomes and the indicators, the proposed targets. If they are disaggregated, then we can say there is a little gender part there. So then we can give 1, and then accordingly there is a 2A and then 2B. 2B is the best. That is a completely a perfect project for the gender. But hardly the partners, they get 1 or 2A. So our proposals are in between 2A and 1. And there's a gender focal point. We nominate in the cluster review committee. Then we review all these proposals. So some provide us the full picture of the gender analysis in that. If I have that form, I can forward it to you and then to Alison directly.
Yeah, thanks, Jumma. That's very helpful. It would be good to share those tools. we've got a similar tool here that I'm hoping to share via INEE, looking with markers for aligned, gender aware, gender sensitive, and our sort of 2B is gender transformative. A question here from Svetomira. What are strategies local NGO partners have used with Al-Shabaab to allow access to education for girls?
Yeah, I have one question from Svetomira. I believe, local organizations are the one who can work in Al-Shabaab area effectively, because they have the roots there and they have connections there with the Al-Shabaab leadership and the militants. There are two big, one is the central Al-Shabaab leadership, and one is the local leadership at their district level, at their regional level. So central leadership, it's very hard to convince them. It's very hard to, it's very difficult to advocate and to get any concession from the central leadership. But these local organizations are doing, they're well connected with the local leadership there. There are many factions within Al-Shabaab and these militant groups. So they can, move around, they can do whatever they want to do, but they just keep happy and they cooperate fully. And they inform them. They take them in confidence. If there is any teacher training, if there is any school activity planned, so they provide them the information in advance in order to get their full portion and support. And second, I say that, there was no big restriction from the Al-Shabaab except segregation of the classes. There was no, announcement from the Al-Shabaab that they're against the girls' education or they're against women teachers or anything. There was no announcement at all. So this is on the both sides. It's from the local organizations because they're flexible in going for to UN organization and big NGO. So, and they are very well connected. They have good relationship with the local leadership.
Thanks, Jumma. Tracy's joined us again. We're going to see if we can hear. Tracy's speaking, but we can't hear her, unfortunately. I think what we're going to have to do, with a shame, but we'll have to record that separately and send it out to her presentation out separately and send it out to participants. Tracy, it would be great if you can join in the discussions. I can, if you feed in your discussions by texting me, I can share that with the group. So that might be the best way to work it. So we've been discussing about the how negotiate with Al-Shabaab. We're discussing about the question of teachers and how you get enough female teachers and what policies there are to encourage more teachers to join, and also discussed about gender marker tools and assessing projects on whether they're gender blind or gender sensitive. So do feel to send me a note to add in any of your experiences that could add to those questions. And if we have another round of questions now, if you put your hands up, I don't know if anyone can speak other than hopefully some other people can speak, but hands up if there are any other questions. People hear me?
Hi, Ruth.
Great. if anyone else has had experience of this issue of female teachers, things that have, what are barriers to getting enough women into the classroom, and of any experience of any strategies that you can use to get more women into the classroom, whether it's qualified, unqualified, how to make sure we get to schools. And any contributions on that, please do put your hand up. Or right, we have Valerie. You tracking? If not, if you send me a message, I'll speak it out to everyone. So Valerie's got another question. We've got, is the distance between schools and household a change in Somalia, in DRC? Jumma mentioned the risks of recruitment into militias for boys. Without girls, are there particular risks on the way to school and associated with the distance from school? So I'll put that to Jumma, and if you could respond to the DRC, if you could respond by text, I'll say in Zoom, perhaps you could do that.
Yeah, distances are an issue there because we don't have schools everywhere. So they can travel 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, but it's hard for the girls to travel to these areas. I mean, from home to school. But there are very less violence issue, protection issue. I never heard in my, maybe child protection, they are dealing on a daily basis with these issues and they are receiving this information. But I haven't heard any main issues or many problems for the girls, going from school back to home. It's a Islamic society, and there is a lot of respect for women here. So why I compare, if I compare boys and girls, I think boys are at more risk in Somalia for being in recruitment, trafficking, and then piracy and some other issues compared to girls.
And saying that in the DRC it's a big problem, and it's particularly a problem, particularly a problem in girls. Many areas there are militia groups, and so there's a lot of fear among the families and the children of making that journey to school. I've also got a feed-in from Peja, who's saying that experience that's on the travel to school. Going back to the teachers, this is from Peja, who's saying that incentives for teachers is the important issue about getting enough teachers in, giving them more acknowledgement through stabilization campaigns, increase of salaries could be one of the solutions. So that might be, so I don't know if Peja, that's particularly women teachers or getting all teachers. I'd like to invite Letitia and then Friedrich to try and speak. I can't, do send me your questions.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead. Is that Friedrich?
Question not so much about get women teachers into positions, because in Sudan we actually have a very, very good rate of women teachers, although it is an Islamic country. Women actually should teach, and we don't have actually enough male teachers. But in medical communities, it is thought to be for boys. We also have more male teachers. But the challenge we have, and I would like to ask the colleagues have how to deal with this challenge, is that girls, once they are in the age of getting married, no longer go to school. And girls, when they're married with 13, 14, 15, they would like to finish school. Finish primary school, which in Sudan actually goes until 14 years, and some perhaps would even continue to go to secondary schools. But they're not supposed to, because once a girl is married, she's not supposed to be in school anymore. What can we do about it?
Yeah. Yes. So how can you get women? How can you get married girls back to school?
Okay.
Yeah, and to when do people think that we should? The question of challenging that culture. To what extent, education cluster, do we have a role in making that marriage, in delaying that marriage?
I would think that delaying the marriage is more unthinkable. Having married girls back to going back to school.
Yeah. Because one thing we've discussed quite a lot here is we can be sensitive and adapt the education system for girls, but to what extent do we actually challenge it and try and make things change? I'm going to move on to Letitia now. She said that listening back to the teachers in Chad and the required entering teacher training is twice the M level, but for when they can get to lower levels. There's actually positive discrimination allowing others, ladies with lower qualifications to get in. And Tracy, responding to Frederick's point on the teachers on marriage, she's saying they're trying hard to get them back into school. I hope we're referring to this, but to allow them to allow the school authorities to let married girls back into school. So I'm jumping around a bit here. If I go back to the teachers, I've got some responses here. So Barbara is saying that they're using a volunteer model in a conservative. Barbara, can you speak? Barbara, can you speak? Can we hear you? No, we can't hear Barbara. So she's saying that in using a volunteer model in conservative area in Mali, they recruit women teachers by working with the husbands first, and then get a whole community approval. So it's a slow, careful process working with husbands first. Responding to the issue of motivation, teachers said it's a very tricky issue in the DRC. 2/3 of teachers are not on the payroll, and so a lot of advocacy has been done to try and get them on the payroll. So if bringing in financial motivation and I presume that she's meaning additional paying financial supplements, the UN agencies and the cluster agencies paying the motivation, paying supplements, then the whole question of the role of government's put into question and can counteract all that's being done. So the issue around being lowly paid and lowly motivated and not on the teacher payroll is quite a key one for clusters to negotiate because of the whole problem of making the government accountable to pay its teachers.
Can I share the experience on teacher stipend here, teacher incentives here in Somalia?
Yeah, thank you, Jumma.
Ruth, it's south. There is no government. There is no Ministry of Education. There are no public schools in south. So mainly the teacher incentives, monthly incentives, they are paid by partners. So they are very poorly paid, like, just $50 we pay for the month. Even a nurse, she's earning some $300, $250, but teachers, they are poorly paid in South. And it's the whole, issue of sustainability there. Community is unable to pay anything. In some areas, there are some private schools they're paying. But increase even $10, it means a lot for our budget and also negotiating with the donors and everything, because it's a fatigue for the donors that, since many years we are continuing with the teachers' incentives and there is no solution. Right now there is a community education committee there. They are getting strong in monitoring and supporting the education, but the community itself is broken, and the livelihood, there is no livelihood, there is no good agriculture, there is no business, there is no stable area. Always there are conflicts, always there are floods and crises, the natural disasters. So it's hard for us to increase the stipends, monthly stipend incentives, and continue with these stipends. We just got stuck there.
Thanks, Jumma. And I think Tara's contribution here that is to everyone about Afghanistan, bringing the subject back to the issue and deploying female teachers is deploying female teachers from urban areas to rural areas, but that means providing families can go. So this is through providing incentives for them both to travel and go their whole family. And talk to the challenges. So yeah, it's comment there. Another point coming from Letitia on the training those teachers. In Sierra Leone, Plan and other donors have organised distance teacher training for the teachers to get local recruitment and provide support for women, including childcare, to get them involved in teacher training. And this has been successful, and since they post longer when recruited from their communities. So two interesting approaches there. The Afghanistan example, teachers in areas from the urban areas with incentives versus flexible models of teacher training that allow local women to get recruited as teachers. I just want to come in on these points. or going back to Friedrich's point on marriage, on girls getting married or kept out of school to marry, any experiences else experienced that as a problem elsewhere, or any experiences of programs that have helped to address that issue? About Mohammed, about Adam, can you speak to us? I see you've got a hand up. Can you try speaking? I can't hear from Abaka, so he'll have to write his question on the chat. Everyone, if he wants to see his question. Tracy is just responding about the so get at a project level, they're getting cluster members to organise catch-up classes at more appropriate times for girls who have household pressures and burdens. So that's one of the ways to respond to women who girls who have already been married or who have taken on household responsibilities. I think if I'm not seeing a hand back now to there's one more thing coming in from Cara that you can read there. Is the accelerated learning for females for training teachers, which is being rolled out. Thank you very much, all those who've contributed their experiences. I'm going to pass back to Ariana now to close.
Thank you. I want to say a huge thank you to Jumma for his great presentation, Tracy for her valuable participation, and hopefully we'll record Tracy, your presentation separately and share it along with the recording of this webinar. And of course, a huge thank you to Ruth for facilitating this rich discussion despite this very challenging technology context. I'd like to highlight the INEE Gender Pocket Guide, which was put together by the Gender Task Team and outlines principles for gender responsive approach to education and programming, and has now been recently made available in 4 different languages. This will be shared along with the on the gender marker and the new gender marker cheat on education, and also the tool from Plan K that Ruth mentioned earlier. And given the conversation, I'd also like to mention the IE guidance notes on teacher compensation, which gender is a cutting theme. If you have any questions about the work INEE is doing around gender, or if you're interested in joining the Gender Task Team, please feel free to reach out to me at the email address listed on the screen right now. And with that, just a huge thank you for everyone for participating and being a really great sport around these technical problems. So you have a great rest of your day, and thank you.
Thanks, Ariana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ariana.